In November 2004, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda signed a memorandum of understanding to promote cross-border listing of securities, among other processes that will integrate the three markets. 2 days ago, however, reports say that Tanzania and Uganda are teaming up with Rwanda to set up a single stock market platform, with Kenya out of the loop. George BODO is an analyst and a director at Call Street Research and Analytics in Nairobi, and I want to ask him why. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to the program.
Good evening. How are you?
Thank you very much. So that's my question. Why is Uganda and Tanzania going to bed with Rwanda and leaving Kenya, a traditional big boy within the region, out of this deal?
I think the Nairobi Securities Exchange was initially part of this. By the way, there are two linkage projects. There is the East African one, and then there is the African linkage project. So the East African one is where it involved the 4 East African markets. The Nairobi Securities Exchange, which is probably the largest in the region, was part of this, but they pulled out a while back, citing, I think they were not comfortable with the supplier who was given the job to provide the infrastructure for that. So on that basis, they pulled out.
Why is this an important issue for Nairobi?
I don't know why it's an important issue, but a more important issue, I think, for me is does a linkage have a value proposition? I don't think it has. I mean, why do stock exchanges link? There are a number of reasons that are listed. One of them is also providing depth to the markets, providing more liquidity, and also probably just exciting the markets together. It's assumed that if they operate individually, probably there's no traction, but if they come in together, there's something they can get. But now, for me, when I look at the three markets that are coming in together, and we don't know the nature of their coming together, we don't know whether they actually want to link the three exchanges actually, or they just want to give brokers access to flows. It's also something that we still don't know the exact nature of the linkage. But I think that if you look at the three markets that are concerned, the total market cap right is just about $15 billion. The total market cap of Nairobi Securities Exchange right now, the equity market cap is $32 billion. So even combined, they're still not closer to Nairobi. But my point is that I struggle to see the value proposition of connecting, because for some reason the infrastructure is still not up to par. One is you need a common registry, right, to move the securities and hold and move the securities. And two, the currency issue comes on board. You know, if you're trading stocks that are predominated in Tanzanian shillings and you're buying assets that are denominated in Rwandan francs, the currency issue comes on board. And thirdly, you also have the bilateral differences that do exist, that don't go away, by the way. For instance, within this region, we have a lot of bilateral differences. Kenya and Tanzania are always fighting on one or two things. Rwanda and Uganda always have issues. You're not guaranteed that these bilateral issues go away when you link this market.
So what about the existing memorandum of understanding that was signed in 2004 between Nairobi, Lusaka, and Dar es Salaam for cross-border listing? If you're a stockbroker in Nairobi, you can trade stocks in Lusaka or Dar es Salaam. Is that still in place?
Well, the memorandum might be in place, but we haven't seen any traction. We have a number of companies. We have in Kenya, we have KCB, we have East African breweries, we have, I think, equity that are all cross-listed in the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. We don't have a Kenyan company that is listed at the Lusaka Stock Exchange yet. But even if you look at these cross-listings, by the way, you look at the trading activities, they're not very, very encouraging. I mean, you also have, even on this side, you have Bank of Kigali that is cross-traded on the Nairobi Securities Exchange and is struggling to attract trading activities. The counter is struggling to get trades. It trades in between very thin volumes, and which takes me back. My point is that I struggle to see the value proposition of this cross-listing. Well, there might be these projects that are going, I think, the African linkage projects being funded by the African Development Bank, and the East Africa one is being funded by the World Bank. I get where they're coming from. They want that a seamless trading and exchange of assets between one countries, but it's not yet happening. And even the few cross-listing we've had, they're struggling to attract visibility in the domestic markets. So on that basis, probably likely it will take a while before you see a Kenyan company that is cross-listing at the Lusaka Stock Exchange.
In what areas would you like to see more regional markets, cooperation and collaboration? That's the way the world wants to go. Integration, collaboration, cooperation. And if you look at African markets, small, illiquid, in various countries, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to. And I listed some reasons. I mean, by the way, there was an Asian linkage project that linked, I think, countries like Thailand, Vietnam, and it collapsed. And these are very big markets. And even right now, I can't give you a working example of a linkage, the stock market linkage in the world. But maybe some things that fail across the other side of the ocean probably sometimes tends to work in Africa. But let's see. But I think for me, the perfect ingredient for these linkages to work is that there needs to be some level of fungibility to the extent that the clearance, the transaction clearance needs to be linked together, need to be able to see each other. The depository corporations that hold these shares, they need to be able to see each other. If I bought a stock today in Nairobi and I want to sell it in Uganda, those two depository corporations need to see each other, and it should be a seamless trade. And the other thing is the currency. How do you resolve the issue of the currency? For instance, I bought a stock in Kenya shilling, I want to transfer it in Uganda shilling. So those are things that still are at fundamental that needs to be defined. So in the absence of those ingredients, even this latest news, we may not see any traction on it.
Okay, George, let's leave it there for today. Maybe we just think about doing something like the BRVM, a single stock exchange for West Africa, maybe just one for East Africa, one for Southern Africa, and one for North Africa. And perhaps one for, they already have a central one in Central Africa. We just leave it there. Makes it very, so we just have about 5 or 6 exchanges on the continent, and we'll just call it today. Thank you very much from Call Street Research Analytics. George BODO, have a good night in Nairobi.